it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. I'm back from my trip to Oregon. I had a good time and got pretty relaxed. This is the next day. Our trip back was really ridiculous, but you can come join the live stream next Thursday if you want to hear the whole long story about what happened to us on our way back. Anyway, I decided to get up. I was up early in the morning making doctor's appointments and eye doctor appointments and all kind of stuff. And then I decided that I should go into my studio, look around, and maybe do a morning page. So this is early in the morning and I'm looking outside and it's just a little bit overcast, but not much. It's going to be a hot, hot, hot day. And I have been outside already. It's already been hot because, of course, I had to take my dog outside. And I was just thinking about morning and how different the mornings on my trip were to what I do here in Arizona. I mean, I did the same things. I took the dog out in the morning. I gave her water, her food, kind of made some tea, sat around. But the environment there was so different. Maybe because it was really calm, there wasn't any demands, or it definitely might have something to do with the green grass, the trees, everything was super green. It wasn't as hot. It wasn't cold at all, but it wasn't hot, like really hot. Um, just kind of, 90s as opposed to like 108 like it was yesterday. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the difference in the angles of sun and the times that the sun comes up and sets. Even just, a little ways away from where I live in a different state. It's not far. It was a 2.5 hour flight. It's still very different. The light is different. So that's what this page is about, just kind of sitting outside. I would go out on the patio with my hot tea and sit in the chairs out there, look at all the roses and all the green trees and stuff. And there was butterflies kept flying around. Of course, I see butterflies here, but they're different butterflies. So that's what I was thinking about when I did this page. I know you guys like to know, what inspired me. Also, this is my junk journal. Remember, we've talked about this like 300 times, but there might be somebody new here that doesn't know about junk journaling, so I'm going to say it anyway. This journal is a handmade journal. The outside is made out of a cracker box or cereal box or something. The inside is made out of a stack of papers that were sitting on my desk for a couple years. You know how those papers just kind of stack up. You print something, you use it, then you just becomes a stack on the desk. There's envelopes, there's greeting cards, there's things that have been sent to you, things that, just stuff. So that's what this whole book is made out of. And there is a couple different videos here on the channel that will show you how to make something like this, how to create the signatures, how to sew them in, how to cover the exterior box that is the cover, and how to punch the holes, all that stuff, It's not difficult. I sew it together with either something like a heavy fishing line or else maybe some hemp twine that I have or something like that. Waxed linen is really popular for making journals, and I maintain that making journals is a different craft or hobby or art than actually filling them because I have lots of journals that are only have some of the pages done. And this one was supposed to last me all year. I think it's going to last me longer than that. My idea was to get up in the morning and do a page every morning, as kind of like a meditation and a calming, centering type of an activity. And I haven't really managed to do one every day. So this thing still has a lot of pages left in it. So also the colors, the page that I picked is the very last page in the book. Sometimes I recommend that maybe you do a page in the front and then a page in the back and then a page in the front, page in the back, and then you meet in the middle. Because journals of any sort, if you're doing a journal that has the pages attached to it, they get fat, they get chunky, and you may do all the ones in the front, and then it's so imbalanced when you lay it out on the table that the back ones are, it's hard to do the back pages. So I, however, did not do that. I completed the whole first signature that's in the front of the book, and then I've done a few other signatures here and there because sometimes it's fun. Sorry about my voice. Was so dehydrated yesterday that my throat got a little bit messed up. It's fun sometimes, a lot of times, to be inspired by what's already on the page in a junk journal, because there might be some words on there, there might be something printed on there, something that's a picture and or color or whatever that inspires you for the page. So sometimes it's not easy to just work front, back, front, back, front, back. Sometimes you want to flip through the journal and look for something to do. So I just figured today I would do the very last page, and it worked because the piece of paper that is glued on the back cover on the inside had some interesting colors that reminded me of morning light. So I just looked for the acrylic paints that were, the page that was glued on there was probably something where I have extra paint on my palette and I just scrape it onto something and let it dry with the idea that I'll make collage paper out of it. So that's what that was glued on the back there. And I just looked for the paint that was the same color of acrylic paint. I could tell it was acrylic paint because it's kind of rubbery and shiny. And then I painted the other side to match so that I had a background on 2 pages that was the same colors. And then I used up, I made a drawing on that background with a pencil and then used up the rest of the paint that was on the palette to just kind of flesh out the drawing. Like I put the white paint that I had used on the face of this person who's apparently out in the morning light, and just different places, and just kind of filled it out until I had used up all the acrylic paint on the palette so I don't waste anything. Then I decided, well, what product do I want to use? Do I want to use some crayons? Do I want to use some more different paints? Do I want to use what? What do I want to do? And I decided to get out Pan Pastel. Now, Pan Pastel is a fantastic product. It is artist quality, high pigment pastel in this type of a little flat pan, and it has some sort of binder mixed into it so that it's easy to spread, easy to blend. It's a fantastic product. And if you use pastel paper that has a little bit of tooth to it, you can put multiple layers and make a real beautifully blended, almost kind of like an oil painting look with this product, using the right paper and using the layers and maybe spray fixing it in between. There's a whole process to it, and it's fantastic. It's a beautiful, beautiful product. However, that's not what I did, because now I've got acrylic paint on here, right? So I'm going to put it over acrylic paint, which has no tooth, which is slippery and not going to allow the pastel to get down into the grooves and to really adhere to it. So I already know that I'm going to have to seal it somehow. And I didn't want to use spray fixative because it saturates everything and makes it darker. That's the reason that I don't use pastel very often, because even with like the cool stick pastels and this pan pastel or the pastel pencils, beautiful products, love them, but I don't like to seal them because it changes the color. And every time that happens to me, I get mad. It's like, why is it changing the color? Why is it making dark and muddy? I don't like it. So I tend to kind of shy away from them. But I already knew I was going to have to put some kind of something on here at some point. So I just went ahead. I continued to color. I'm using different tools that that are made by Pastel. Pastel is a brand, and then they make these tools called soft tools, SOFFT. There's two F's in it that go along with the pastels, and they're kind of like a dense sponge, and there's all different shapes. Some of them go on little sticks. Some of them look like eyeshadow applicators. Some of them are sponges in different shapes. And I'm just grabbing the one that's appropriate for what I'm doing and then applying the pastel that way over the acrylic paint. Not my best idea. Now, that being said, if you had used craft acrylic paint or fresco finish paint, maybe even chalk paint, those paints have a very matte, almost chalky finish, right? You guys know this if you have used these paints because they are blended with like something like a plaster of Paris to reduce the amount of pigment used so that it makes them very inexpensive. With the exception of that fresco finish paint, it is not inexpensive, but it is as an import. So the way that those paints are made, it lends itself actually to putting a pastel over the top of it, I think, because of that chalky, bumpy finish that you get from those type of paints. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't, in fact, I don't even have any craft paints, so I wouldn't have used them anyway. I was trying to pick the colors of paint that I'd already used on that background anyway, so they're just regular, like Liquitex Basics or Amsterdam or something like that. Maybe from gel printing, I don't know. I don't really know. But yeah, maybe that would have worked better. This didn't work badly. It just, you don't get the cleanest finish doing it this way. So then some Stencil Girl stencils, a couple different 6x6s. I used the big sponge, the big soft tool sponge to stencil. It's kind of weird stenciling with pastel. A lot of it gets onto the stencil because my stencils are not clean. So I think that I could maybe make some stencil prints by putting, because you know that pastel is still on there, like maybe putting a matte medium or an acrylic paint onto the stencil and then putting paper over the top to pull off some of that pastel and make an interesting collage paper. So I probably will do that at some point. I didn't do it immediately. So I think I just used two different stencils, and then I'm coming back in with maybe a little bit more pastel before I'm happy with the amount of color that's on here. You know, the morning is not super bright, and at least not in Oregon, it's not. Here it is. You walk outside in the summer, in the morning, in Arizona, you still feel like you're walking into an oven. In southern Arizona, we're talking about southern Arizona. The entire state is not like this. But down here in the south side, it is hot, dry, extremely dry. So it's like literally walking into an oven because it's just dry and hot. So the pencil that I'm using is a Stabilo All pencil. And you guys know about Stabilo All pencils. They are reactive to any type of moisture, right? We know that. They're highly water reactive. They are not in any way permanent. You can actually even blend them a little bit with your finger. They're kind of almost kind of like a charcoal pencil, but not quite as movable as that. So I'm using that pencil. I already know that if I get something wet on there, it's going to move. I'm aware. So here comes the sealing portion of this. I want this stuff to stay. So I get some fluid matte medium and a really soft brush. And then I am carefully, as much as I can, carefully moving around, adding some of this matte medium, which will dry clear, onto the top of the pastel. It's smushing a bit. The Stabilo All pencil is smushing a bit because it's obviously going to do that. The colors are moving around some. I don't care. I knew this is what was going to happen. So You know, it's almost making like a diffused, like the light would be diffused. This is kind of diffused because things are slipping around a little bit. Not precise, not perfect in any way. So then to finish up my page after I dried up that matte medium, I used a gel pen. I can't remember the brand, but I will put the products I linked below. I'll put the colors of the paint so you know what these pastel-y colors are. And then, of course, a link to pastels. And I'll find out what kind of pen that is. It's some type of a gel pen that Peg Robinson sent me. And I just added the very smallest amount of little black lines for clarity around a few things. And then I'm using my white Posca pen to add white onto the butterfly and to kind of clarify some of those images that got smeared from the stenciling, and around the leaves and just here and there to add like a white. I like to add back in my whites after I've obliterated all the entire white of everything on the page. It's kind of backwards. A little bit of splatter with the white pen. And then I'm pretty much done. I'm going to give this a good dry. I'm going to write the words morning light. I guess I'm adding a little bit more with that gel pen, whatever kind of pen it is. Actually working pretty well over this because you just never know what you're going to get when you're using a pen over all these products. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe to my channel. Join my channel membership. All those things are fun. Bye-bye.